Hello and welcome to Wheel Tapping Sidings. Sidings are special little 18xx primers to help you get started with 18xx games. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the physical stock markets and how they operate. So first off, let's kind of talk about the two different types of stock markets we have. We have a 1D stock market where things run one direction, and then we have a 2D stock market where things can run up, down, and left and right. So the movement of the stock price can be very different in either game that you're playing. There are also some zones that tend to be the same between both games. One might be a low value zone. This could be either yellow or brown. Usually it's kind of off in the very, very low values. And what that does is it may ease restrictions on some of the buying limits, how many shares of a company you can own, or whether they even count against your share limit, and sometimes how many you can buy. So pay attention to the special rules and what may happen in those zones if you see them in the game you're playing. The other thing is there may be a closed area or black boxes, and this is when a value of a company would go into that zone. They close. Whether it can come back into play or it's completely removed is up to the individual game. So again, be sure you understand the rules lest you lose a company you were really trying to keep a hold on to. The last thing you might see on it is some boxes that kind of denote the par values. If you need to check out the episode on how to open companies, that'll be covered there, but know that par values are essentially going to be the values that companies can start at, and it's usually noted on the stock market for easy reference. So let's talk a little bit about the 1D stock market. 1D stock markets are called that because you just move on a line. Whether you move up in value or down in value, your movement is only left or right. One direction, 1D. Now, what will generally cause stocks to move forward are paying out. Sometimes you have to meet a value assessment, like your share price. If you have a $100 share price and you run a $100 run, you move forward. If you have a $90 run, you may just stay put and do what we call spin in place, in which case you stay put. The other thing that can happen is you can have multiple jumps forward depending on that share value. If you're at $100 and you pay out a $200 dividend, you may be eligible for a double jump depending on the game you're playing. $300 might be a triple jump, and I've even seen games with quadruple jumps. It's a lot of fun to take a company all the way down to near bankruptcy and then all of a sudden play leapfrog and just go bounding up the stock chart. One of the great joys of playing a stock market game. So the things that'll move you backwards during an operating round, if you're unable to actually have a route or a train, so you have no chance to even make a few dollars. And this could be when a company first opens, or this could be after a company has operated and loses a train or for whatever reason. The taking of loan, the issuing of shares, all these things can affect the price. During a stock round, prices can also be affected whether stocks were sold during the stock round. So be sure to check your individual game because they can all be a little different. But just know that stocks generally move forward for good things and move backward for bad things and spin in place when just kind of happens. So moving on to the 2D market, all those things I just kind of mentioned with the 1D market also apply. However, there's a couple extra features in a 2D market, and that's the up and the down. Now, at the end of a stock round, if all of your shares are held by players, typically your company will float up, meaning it will move up in stock price as opposed to right on the market like the 1D. Stocks may also go down levels, and that may be based on the fact that people sell your shares, or if the president sells shares, every share that it's sold will drop the value one box. And then we have at the bottom here what we generally refer to as the ledge of love. And this means even though somebody may sell your shares, it can't go any lower. So this could be an opportunistic time to sell shares if you're the president because you know you're not going to take a value hit. So it all depends on the game you're playing. Now, generally speaking, the 2D markets don't have fancy double jumps and things like that, but they also tend to have a little more rewards and consequence to actions because there's a little extra movement that's a smaller percentage than a full jump to the right. So pay attention and know what stock market's in your game so that you can kind of control the movements throughout the game and best take advantage of them at the right times. So there you have it. That's pretty much the movement of a stock round and how things go. Now let's just kind of briefly talk about how we manage this on a game board. And basically, when a company is operated, what is a good practice is to take that token and move it in the box to where it's going to go. When you do that, we generally flip the token over so that way you understand what companies have run and what hasn't. The 1D market, we tend to put them at the bottom. 2D market, you'll have to put them at the bottom of a stack. This assures that the running order in the next operating round will be on point and accurate. So just take time, move the tokens appropriately, and flip them to keep track of what's going on and who has to operate. Learn to leverage the stock market for the game you're playing. The designer put that specific stock market in there for a very specific reason. Have some fun, pull some levers. Join us back here next time. We're going to dive into phases and what kind of denotes one phase to the next. Thanks for watching.